Let's face it, if you are not a professional plumber, you will no doubt have reason to call one at some time in your life. You do not always know when a plumbing emergency is going to strike, such as a tub getting blocked up, or a pipe that has burst and is threatening to flood you out of house and home. These plumbing disasters have a way of happening without warning and at inconvenient hours of the day and night. When a plumbing emergency strikes, you might be in need of a 24-hour plumber. If you have never dealt with one before, there are a few things you should bear in mind. When you need an emergency plumber, it is much like needing an emergency locksmith to come out and open your car for you when you have locked your keys inside. Emergency services always have certain conditions attached that you would do well to expect. The most obvious is that emergency services are always more expensive than they would be under normal or routine circumstances. If you require a plumber after hours, you will have to pay more for their services. The reason for this is simply higher demand for the services of the plumber that might negate them having to reschedule less urgent appointments that could end up costing them money. For instance, some people do not like to have to wait and might hire another plumber instead, which means business has been lost. The extra costs levied that you are to cover this possibility. Also, since you require the services outside of business hours, you are essentially encroaching upon the plumber's private time, and so are charged accordingly. Another thing to bear in mind is that an emergency plumber is someone who is available to handle your plumbing emergencies, but that does not mean that they are going to arrive immediately. Even though you are dealing with an emergency, you might still have to wait a while for them to arrive. Depending on the kind of company you are dealing with, they should be able to provide you with an estimate of how long you will need to wait for the plumber to arrive. If time is of the essence, you should make that known when you call the company. Finding a plumber in an emergency is not difficult, since there are those that are self-employed and those that work for a company. Those that are not connected to a company are likely going to charge a bit less, but they might not be as reliable. When you are dealing with a plumbing emergency, it is best to deal with a reputable company instead. Your local newspaper, telephone directory, or the internet are all good places to find a plumber in an emergency. Make sure that the plumber you hire is equipped to deal with your particular plumbing problem. A professional plumber is able to assess the situation immediately and be able to handle any plumbing problem. Finding your plumber online has numerous advantages, not least of which is that you can view their profile. Depending upon the quality of the site, the plumber's profile will also provide important information to help you make your decision. Hiring one affiliated with a company is usually the better option,